Good evening and welcome to the good evening and welcome to the 2023 class president debate. We're so glad you joined us, and we have so many interesting questions to ask our candidates tonight.
It's been a long year. There's been a lot happening since the last debate. A lot of things have changed, a lot of things have stayed the same, and there's a lot to talk about tonight. This stream should hopefully go a lot smoother than last year. We cannot promise a totally event-free debate, but we should be prepared for anything to happen, and it's going to be a fun night.
This year, we will begin with some opening statements from our candidates. Each pair will have 2 minutes to present their opening statements and make a good case for their campaign. First, we'll have our incumbents, Ethan and Greta, to tell us why you should vote for them tomorrow. Ethan, you are muted.
Excellent. All right. Good evening, everyone. Today, Greta and I are here to prove to you that we deserve your vote for Class of 2023 Co-President. We are delighted to see that all of this year's candidates are incredibly talented and qualified individuals. Every person up here has strong communicative and leadership skills, but what truly sets Greta and I apart is simple: experience. Greta and I have held this position for 2 years under some of the most trying circumstances possible. Through the uncertainty of freshman year and obvious challenges of this one, Greta and I have persevered, fulfilling our duties and learning truly myriad lessons along the way. We've learned which administrators to email and which to avoid. We've learned everything from how to effectively foster communication to how to set up a custom ink order. Through 2 years of experience, we've not just learned how to better fulfill this position, but we've learned to genuinely love it.
So as you guys might know, Ethan and I actually met all the way back in 4th grade. And we were drawn together because we both had an affinity for leadership and public speaking. But the reason that our paths have continued to converge over the years is not because of that natural affinity, it's because we have both continued to try and grow and improve our leadership and communication skills. It's the reason that we both decided to come to Maggie Walker, which is one of the best decisions I have ever made. And it's the reason that after 3 years apart in middle school, we decided to run for class co-presidents all the way back in the first months of freshman year. Maggie Walker has become like a second home for both of us, and we are just so excited at the prospect of being back on campus next year. While virtual school has come with a whole host of challenges, we think that our perseverance as sophomore co-presidents through such difficult circumstances has prepared us to make junior year the best it can be for everyone, and we believe that we're going to show you that tonight.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Next, we'll move on to Jonathan and Ananya, if you guys would like to present your opening statement, rather.
Hi, class of 2023. It's me, Jonathan Beerley, and I'm here with Ananya Gomatom.
Jonathan and I are extremely excited to be running for your class president this year, and we have some very ambitious plans.
Our platform can really be summarized into 4 key letters: CAPR, or CAPR, which stands for Communications, Activities, Preparation, and Raising Funds.
We want to expand the communication that we as a class have, so that we can be more informed about events and spirit weeks. As shown here, the Discord has already done a great job of organizing events and people. However, Jonathan and I wish to expand this, as many people don't use Discord as a primary communication platform, and we want to achieve this through the use of the Facebook page and Schoology emails.
Activities-wise, we want to unify our class really as much as possible. Throughout the last year, COVID has really run rampant throughout much of what we came to love at Maggie Walker. Many of the events which makes Maggie Walker what it is were canceled. This year, we plan to really have larger events like prom, as we know, but also bonding experience such as different sports tournaments, board game nights or movie nights, just ways to unify our class together.
The P and R of Capper can truly be summarized into one major point of preparation and raising funds. Jonathan and I want to ensure that all school events, such as prom or like things like the lip sync battle from freshman year, and also other events like class shirts, have the proper funding to make sure they go through successfully. Jonathan and I also aim to provide both opportunities to raise these funds and for you guys to volunteer.
We really hope we have your votes and can successfully lead our class next year.
Thank you so much, Jonathan and Ananya. Next, let's listen to an opening statement from Brenna and Bruce.
Awesome. Good evening, classmates. I'm Bruce Yanovich.
And I'm Brenna Luzak.
First of all, thank you so much to our mods. This is a fantastic event here tonight. But does anybody know why we're gathered here today?
We do. We're gathered here to celebrate the power of democracy, to establish a president of competition and freedom of choice, to discuss the future of our place of learning.
Most importantly, we're here because tomorrow, everybody in this stream, everybody in our class, should cast their votes for me and Brenna. And tonight, we need to tell you why.
Let's start off with an easy one. What do you look for in co-presidents? Strong leadership, commitment, ability to work as a team? Look no further than Luzak Yanovich.
Brenna and I have been comrades since third grade. Over the course of the years, whether raising tens of thousands of dollars to fund or playing in a wide array of sports and academic games and clubs here at U Walker, we proved that our leadership and teamwork skills are undefeated.
Now, what about next year? We need co-presidents who have a solid plan, and once again, Bruce and I are strong candidates here as well. We want to place a heavy emphasis on effective communication and transparency between class, leadership, administration, and you all.
We'll use social media to make school a reality. We will news straight to your Instagram feed, which is something we haven't really seen in the past. As junior presidents, we have a lot of responsibilities next year that we are prepared to handle, and we want to take you with us every step of the way and prove our commitment to you as this class.
So whether it's organizing school spirit boosters like pep rallies and class t-shirts, or organize events like homecoming and prom, we won't disappoint.
In conclusion, the choice for class president is clear. Vote Luzak Yanovich tomorrow on Schoology.
So much. It's great to hear your platforms, great to hear what you guys are going to be standing for this year. So now we're going to be moving on to the question segment. These questions have been created both by our team here in the studio and at home, and also submitted in our Instagram polls by students in our school. Also feel free and encouraged to leave questions in the YouTube chat. We will ask those later on when we get an opportunity to.
Each question should be aimed to be answered around 2 minutes, though if you can go under, that would also be great. Afterwards, any candidate may respond with an addition to the previous answer or a non-accusatory question to a candidate pair relating to the topic we introduced. If you want to respond to it, go ahead and raise your hand and we'll put you down. And in accordance with SEA rules and school rules, let's get this debate civilized and fun. So let's dive right in. So Ethan and Greta, we're going to start with y'all. You have had the opportunity to serve as class of 2023, co-presidents for 2 years now. What have you accomplished in specifics in these terms, and what have you learned from these experiences?
I would say accomplishments and wisdom are two areas where Greta and I shine. So if you want specifics, going back last year, I think the winter dance and lock-in were exceptionally successful. One interesting thing we learned from there was utilizing members from our class that maybe weren't class officers was to decorate was very effective and help make the winter dance decorations reflect more of our class. Additionally, a bus board, which we talked about a lot last year, and a very successful lock-in last year. This year has been exceptionally difficult. I mean, clearly, and so it can be easy to view it as as so. But I think under these circumstances, Greta and I have actually done a fantastic job. We got class shirts out, which is the exception for this year if you look at the classes. We organized a number of virtual game nights and are still looking in sort of the APs are done celebration. And through these, we've learned just myriad lessons. Initially, yeah, with dances, we've learned how to organize that, how early you have to do that. We've learned where the costume closet is and how to get the correct costumes from there. And again, this lesson of utilizing people from our class beyond just the class officers to help decorate. In regards to stuff like the virtual game night and things like that, especially this year with it all being virtual, we've established lines of communication with many administrators and our class sponsor and really learned how to communicate with the faculty and staff of our school to affect real change.
So much. Are there any other questions from any of the other candidates? All right, seeing none. Moving on to Jonathan and Ananya. What new plans do you guys have to raise money for our class? How will you build on existing fundraising systems as well as that?
We want to partner with like places like Chipotle and ice cream stores. So I've been in many clubs and I've been like as part of the office, and in there I personally have emailed and talked to Chipotle, and we've hosted successful fundraisers and we've brought in a lot of money. That was very helpful. And so we think that by doing this for our own class, we can bring in a lot of money and have funds for our events.
Are there any other questions from any of the candidates about that?
That's one unique view on how to introduce fundraising into our class. I was wondering if any of the other candidates had given this topic any thought.
Yeah, I've given it, about 11 months of thought between 2020 and 2021. I also think that Jonathan and Ananya, that is a fantastic point. Fundraising is very important, and I think Brenna and I are also could be considered experts on that. Together, we raised over $35,000 to fight cancer, doing just that, sponsoring with places like Chipotle. We did 2 Chipotle nights, I think, to support the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. We partnering with local businesses, going in and having a meeting. We have those, social skills, those public speaking skills, the confidence to go and sit down with local business leaders, real people, and draw them to support our cause and to support our school.
Awesome. And Ethan, if you got something to say?
Yeah, not too much to add here because a lot of great ideas have been said, but really especially returning from a year where we didn't have Fall Fest, where class shirts were a little difficult. We also want to make sure we focus on revitalizing those and making sure those get up to the standard they were our freshman year as we return to school.
Those are all great points. Thank you so much. And our next topic is about events. So Bruce and Brenna, many fun events and activities have been canceled over the past year due to COVID. What plans do you have to revitalize and reinvent class spirit as we know it next year?
Of course. And I know Ethan's talked a little bit about class t-shirts, a little bit about, prom, HOCO, etc. And we've all mentioned this in our Instagram already, but we know that pep rallies are an incredibly important and fun way, not only to boost school spirit and class spirit, but pep rallies and class t-shirts as well are an opportunity for class leadership and administration to boost inclusivity, to represent the whole class, to make sure everybody's involved in planning, organizing, artwork, and carrying out of both the distribution of class t-shirts and the carrying out of pep rallies. And I think that'll not only boost school spirit, but it'll also boost the spirit of inclusivity and communication as well, which is one of our most important points in our platform this year.
That's a really great point, Bruce. And it really ties in well to what Ethan had previously said regarding fundraising. We're going to move on a little bit and pivot towards a question about the actual environment of Maggie Walker. As we all know, the school is a place we know and love and want to make it as safe as possible for every single student. So this is a question open to all candidates. What will you do to create a safer environment for LGBTQ students and students of color? Will you provide platforms for marginalized students to have a voice on the class stage? And any candidate who wants to answer this can go ahead. Ananya?
So this was a plan that we had, but I wasn't sure how feasible it would be with the administration. That is definitely something we need to figure out. But this year, Henrico County had holidays for Diwali and other religious things, which was new, something that they added this year. But Maggie Walker did not have any. And many religions and many people of color who practice these religions, and not even just religions, cultural festivals and stuff like that, we are not getting this representation, right? So we want to petition the administration and tell them to either have some sort of holiday, or if not a holiday, like if it's not permitted in the number of days we have to have a holiday, like some sort of acknowledgement in the morning announcements or somewhere throughout the day, so we can actually have some recognition for these people of color and marginalized communities.
That's a really great point, Ananya. Ethan, I see you have something to say. Go ahead.
I 100% agree. I mean, when you think about what makes Maggie Walker, it's not the academics or the rigor, it's truly the community. And so to the extent that anyone feels excluded from that community, I think it's our job to remedy that. Now, the SAC recently released results of their survey with a lot of goals that go beyond what we can do. And stuff Ananya was talking about as well. With these changes, it's going to require a lot of cooperation with administration, which again is something Greta and I have learned to do. However, with specific ideas, one thing we thought of as something that we may be able to affect most easily is this anonymous reporting mechanism that the SAC mentioned. It currently exists, but it's hidden in the MLWGS website and requires corroboration from a teacher, which can make it really difficult, especially when teachers are involved in the incident. Additionally, the state of Virginia recently released model policies for trans students. And while administration has made some strides for this, they have been fairly intransigent about stuff like email and Google Drive names. We have a lot of ideas here, but the biggest thing with policies here is going to be communication with administration, because there's very little we could do alone. However, Greta and I believe that with our experience with administration, we could provide an effective voice that could help push many of these policies forward.
Can I jump in here?
Bruce, go ahead.
Yeah, so like we mentioned in our opening statement, we think social media is also a very important part of the role that we can play in discussions like this, especially every day, and especially during this month. I think it's amazing, the sort of community that I see, people I follow in my community on Instagram, and a lot of people from MLWGS that are posting a lot of things in support of, and what we've seen over the last year of supporting the Black Lives Matter movement, and of course Pride posts, which it's all fantastic. And one of the things that we'd like to see brought to the table is an official sort of voice from the class leadership, and I think we could bring that, especially during months like these, or years when racial inequality and when racial injustices is being brought to light. I think it would be very important to get higher ups in the school administration and class leadership involved in that, because anybody can have an argument in an Instagram comment section from their personal account, but I think especially within a small community like Maggie Walker, it's important when class leadership is able to step in like that. And that's one of the things we'd accomplish with having our Instagram page and having our updates page, and I think it would sort of make that more official.
Thank you so much for that. Leading into that, leading out from that, rather, this is going to be a question for all of our candidates. Based on the SAC survey, what are some of the changes that you would make around the school? So this is open to anyone. So,
Jonathan, go ahead.
Yeah.
Hi. Hi all. Many schools in Henrico have introduced this kind of thing where it's a randomized student representatives in some sort of student council. Although many people might not want to be in a leadership position like this, I think how me and Nani would design it is that in a way that it's not much of a leadership position. in that rather it will successfully reach into different like subsets of our grade to get something as little as input on how us as like class officers are doing at promoting inclusivity.
That's a great point, Jonathan. I'm just not sure how it like relates to the whole SAC survey.
In the survey, we saw that like, well, first I'd say a lot of students, we didn't get a lot of different groups in the survey, as you see. I think this would successfully manage this or approach this problem, as we'll be able to, instead of voluntarily asking sort of for input, we would more directly receive that input.
Thank you so much. Greta, do you want to follow on that?
Yeah, I wanted to mention that I noticed in the summaries of a lot of the expansion questions on the SAC survey, it seemed like a lot of people had complaints where they felt that there had been a microaggression or some sort of offensive comment, and they weren't exactly sure who to report that to because the channel of communication hasn't always been clear. And like Ethan mentioned, the form that you have to fill out is sort of buried. And so I think that, like Ethan said before, something that we could definitely work with administration on that is very realistic and that they should be able to compromise with us with is making that process a little more clear, because that line of communication needs to be more open. And while, I mean, class presidents, it's important that we represent the student body and that we can communicate information to administration, there should also be a direct line between the administration and everyone in the student body.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much. Anybody else want to answer the question, or we can move on?
Sure. So Brett and I think that transparency is very important. And so I'm just going to come out right now and throw a little curveball at you. I did not see the SIC survey. This might sound like, oh, Bruce, you're dumb. But I think this highlights a pretty important problem because, I get around on, my computer, I get around on social media and my email and stuff. You might be saying in your head, Bruce, you're just like a very nerd person. But what I think is also, it could be easier. It could be easier, to find this sort of communication that comes from the school. And that is important in improving our school and our community. And I think that that's one of the things that Brian and I could bring to the table, which is putting it on, not just the people who are looking to make these changes or to do extensive research on these changes and issues that are affecting our school right now, but also the people who just should know about these things. And obviously, there's a lot of important topics that are coming out of it. So that's one of the things that we could accomplish with our effective communication and social media campaign.
Thank you so much, Bruce. And kind of leading into this, this was a question that was targeted towards Jonathan and Anya. We wanted to ask about what do you believe are the values of the class of 2023, and how can we better exemplify these values through both how our class acts as a whole and how our class acts as part of the school.
Yeah, me and Nanya really think the class of 2023 is a resilient, hardworking group of kids. We think we're relatively and pretty open to many different kinds of people. We think we really get along well, but we think that COVID has really restricted this. We think unity is a very important value of our class, and we want to really increase this as we go into the coming year. We think we can represent this well through hosting more events, which can help bring many different groups of people together.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. And this one is going to be aimed at Bruce and Brenna. Specifically, are you guys planning any new activities or events to take place next year?
At this point, I'd like to see a lot of the same things. One of the things that we saw this year, before I, like to talk because I like to talk. At this stage, we haven't looked into that many specific things, times, and dates. We have general ideas of continuing and improving upon many of the fantastic events that have occurred in the last year. I think a lot of these events that have come out of COVID that have become social distancing events that we could, the parking lot movie night or the yoga day or the chalk day. I think that those are all fantastic events that we could translate into a normal school year, put during the school day on, during a normal school year when we're all together. And I think those would also be a fantastic way of, like Jonathan and Anya said, bringing people together, being inclusive.
Thank you, Bruce, so much. Greta, do you want to reply to that?
Yeah, I just I want to make a little comment about the drive-in movie night, which I know was a lot of fun, but it would definitely, and I'm not putting it down as an idea, but it definitely requires communication with actually the PTA, because we looked into having one just for junior year this year, and it costs about $7,000. And as you guys can probably guess, while we do make money for the junior class, we don't make that kind of money.
Yeah.
But so we hit that roadblock too, and so I think a way that we kind of tried to move around that is by coming up with ideas that are less expensive or free. Free is always great. And so something that I think was really successful and that we want to keep doing is the virtual game night, because not only does it only require a Zoom account, it means people can be at home or at school. They don't have to worry about rides, and it can even include people who may not be comfortable being in person at school next year all the time.
Just to piggyback off of that as well, and sorry to sort of jump in here, but I think Brenna and I, our resume shows that we're capable of stepping in and bringing changes to the numbers that we're capable of when it comes to fundraising, when it comes to how big we're willing to go with these events. Of course, communication with the PTA is going to be very important, and I think just our main point here is that we're able to get that kind of money, like we are. It takes dedication. It takes a lot of boldness to walk into a business and say, I need $1,000. Can you give it to me? But I think we're able to do that. And that's another thing that we're able to bring to the table as candidates.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. So this question is going to be aimed at Ethan and Greta. So Walker is infamous for giving challenging coursework and creating a stressful environment. So how will you help to improve mental health at Walker?
So I agree. I mean, I'm gonna probably be up late tonight, to be honest. But as I mentioned earlier, there's not a ton we can do to lessen that workload. I don't know if any. And we've looked vaguely into it, but you hit a lot of administrative roadblocks really quickly. But I think one of the most powerful ways to deal with it, and I think sort of the way a lot of us survive it, is the community, is the collective struggle. And so I think by extenuating that, that's probably the best way to defend against sometimes an obscene workload. So through things like movie nights, through things like expanded interest in clubs and support for clubs, I think these ways of connecting students is the strongest way that we together can take on the challenge that is Maggie Walker.
That's a really great point, Ethan. Brandy, do you want to reply to that?
I would just want to say I agree with Ethan that it is definitely very important to connect the students, as I honestly can cheer a lot of people up. But I feel like our counseling department, they do lend out a hand, but many are too scared to use it. And that's something that definitely needs to be worked on. But another thing is that the homework policy is often not necessarily followed by a lot of teachers, but there isn't much done about it. So hopefully opening up communication will help people feel more comfortable talking about that.
Yeah, and off of that as well, the events that we could plan and that we could have to, relieve stress, bring the community together and rely on the community. You can't go to those events if you have 4 hours of homework every night. And so I think that working on that homework policy, like Brenna brought up, would be a fantastic way to advance in that field.
Jonathan, would you like to respond to that a bit?
Yeah, kind of going off what Brenna said, a lot of teachers don't follow the homework policy, but as well, a lot of students are really afraid to talk to their teachers about this. For example, I know Mr. Ross, he has like one quote where he says, it really sucks the homework policy is 30 minutes because then you have to do all your homework in just 30 minutes. But I think me and Ananya wish to create a better method of serving as sort of a middleman between the teachers and students, for those students who might be too shy or not willing to directly talk to their teachers, to kind of make it an easier transition into like an understanding environment.
Awesome. So we're now going to take a quick break and we'll be back with you shortly. After the break, we'll have a few more questions. We'll try to get some in from our chat, and then we'll have our closing statements. So stay tuned and we'll be right back with you. Back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. We're going to go right back into questions. We've gotten a few questions from chat, and we're going to go through the rest of the questions that we had pre-planned. So first off, Bruce and Brenna, what routes are you going to be taking to accomplish your campaign promises? So in other words, if you're elected, how are you going to actually get stuff done in the school?
One of our biggest points of our, especially if you're just joining us after this beautiful intermission, our biggest campaign promises is our effective communication campaign and our use of social media. Obviously, we are very capable of using social media. If you have perused our Instagram account thus far, we just posted a new reel, by the way. It was cool. We've demonstrated our ability to use social media to effectively communicate with the class. We plan to spread that Instagram account and to update it throughout the year. And that shouldn't be something that's hard for us to accomplish.
All right. So this one is for Jonathan and Ananya. So next year, the junior class, that's our class, is responsible for planning prom. Have you thought about ways to execute this yet? And if so, what are your plans?
Like we said, we are going to go forward with our fundraising. And with that, we're going to definitely start planning early because we want to make this prom a really fantastic prom to make up for what we've all been through this year and half of last year. And we want to make sure our like incoming seniors, we want to make sure they have a really good night before the next year. And I know this year prom was like pretty, it was really pretty. And they did the best that they could do, but we want to ensure that it is an amazing night for those people that are attending, us and the seniors.
Yeah, kind of jumping off of this, me and Anya really want to utilize, as many other candidates have said, new means of communication to make sure the events which we plan successfully can be planned and prepared. We think in previous years, communication has not been in a tier that we would like it to be. And then from that, we wish to grow this on both multiple platforms, which, such as Facebook or Instagram. Our Facebook page is kind of slacking recently. So we really want to revitalize this and possibly use this as like a center for command, trying to get volunteers to make sure prom can be the best it can be this year.
Those are some really great points, Jonathan and Ananya. Since this is such like a big issue and a big event on our minds, I want to open this up to some other candidates, if any candidates would like to answer this. Brenna,
To
go
bring
ahead.
sort of, was that me or
Brenna.
I'm sorry, so sorry.
Okay, we just definitely want to make sure everyone gets to have a voice in prom and somehow make it so that everyone gets to put an input so that we can work or do our best to make an event that everyone can hopefully enjoy.
On the other half of that, like Brenna was saying, it's not going to be just us. We can't expect to go in there and have the co-president's words just go straight in, and that's prom. We're not only going to have the voices of our classmates in there, we're also going to have to work alongside committees, parents, people that are local businesses that want a say in this. We can't just have our voices go with that. And so Brenna's point that we need to communicate with the class also extends to with adults that want to say in it as well, and with admin and with the rest of the school.
It's a really great point, Brace. Greta, do you want to piggyback off that?
Yeah, I just wanted to make one quick clarifying point that the junior class budget doesn't pay for the prom. Just like the junior class budget or the freshman class budget didn't pay for like the refreshments at the winter dance. That's budgeted into the school budget. But I also think that Bruce is making a really good point about feedback, because feedback was really important during the winter dance and it'll be even more important during the prom. And as anybody who saw me when we were planning this would know, we read every single comment on the Google form that we put out before we planned the winter dance. So I think that because of that, we're even better prepared to try to disseminate that information, make sure that everybody gets feedback when we plan the prom.
That's a really great point. Ethan, do you want to?
Yeah, no.
Sorry. Ananya, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you for that point about the funds. I did not know that, but we will take that into mind. But like Brenna has said, we do want to open up the party planning to everyone, and we were thinking that maybe we could have a party planning committee where anyone in throughout the entire class who wants to have a say in prom and have have a say in prom will be able to head it. And obviously we will do a lot of the work, but they will have their opinions be heard, and so we can ensure like maximum cooperation.
Awesome. That's a great point. So, while campaign promises are important, so is maintaining the Maggie Walker spirit and embodying the values of the class of 2023. So, what extracurricular activities do you and your partner currently partake in to benefit the community around us? This could be community service or anything related to that. So we're going to do all of our different partner groups here. So we're going to start with Greta and Ethan.
I am very active in a number of different clubs. That was one of my failings freshman year, as I tried to join every single club. But probably what's most important to me right now, what I put the most time into, is I am a co-director of Project Engage RBA. It was actually started by this year's graduating class and then passed down to some sophomores and juniors this year. I do that alongside a number of people from our school, including Navaid and Chrissy, and so that is a nonprofit that provides free education enrichment classes to students K through 5 in the Richmond metro area. So helping benefit Maggie Walker's community by using what Maggie Walker may do best, which is teaching. I also participate in a number of sports. I couldn't do soccer this year because of COVID, but I'm on cross country, track, and then we'll hopefully do soccer next year. And I'm also a member of the Forensics Club and also the French National Honor Society.
So, Ananya and Jonathan.
Hi. As for helping to maintain and better our community at Maggie Walker, I volunteered through both Rams Club this year and Hands-On Enrichment a lot. Through this, you really help support many of the local schools and impoverished people in the Richmond area. As well as through Maymont, I've helped both clean cemeteries and host events for the community in our area. As for extracurriculars, I did basketball this year. I'm a member of the French National Honor Society. I'm a big member of Model UN, and I participate in the Latin Club.
Perfect. And then moving on to Bruce and Brenna. Oh, sorry. I'm really sorry. Ananya.
It's okay. I just wanted to add, so as a part of ramps, we help people who need ramps to move outside because they're in a state of their health where they can't really move around a lot without a wheelchair, and their houses, they don't have easy access to the outside. So with COVID and everything, many of them haven't been outside for a really long time. And going to these builds and helping people go outside and experience something that they haven't been able to for a while now, it's incredibly amazing. And I want to carry this like experience and feeling onto the rest of the class. And additionally, currently I am the treasurer of Period, which is a club to work to end stigma against periods and help period poverty. This is the first year as our club, and we were able to have 28 days of period where we had activity after activity working to talk about the stigma and raise funds. And through these activities, we were able to have volunteering hours for students as well. So I think we can do a good job carrying this over as presidents to our class.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And because we are perfect at our jobs and make no mistakes, we're going to go back to Greta so that you can actually answer the question.
Yeah, it's no problem. So at Maggie Walker this year, I do band. I play the French horn and the flugelhorn, and if you haven't heard of those, that's okay. I'm also the head of tech for the drama department, and I'm in the Spanish National Honor Society. But something that I wanted to mention in terms of volunteering that I think was really formative for me about gaining that confidence that Bruce was mentioning about learning how to like raise funds and have confidence in your communication was an award that I won last year for Lead to Feed, which is an organization that encourages students to work with like a local community organization where we raised about $2,500 for Art 180, which is a nonprofit in Richmond City, and actually won an award where we got an extra $1,000 or so for that organization. So I think that was really important for me, and it also has given me experience in like fundraising and communication, especially with the communication with people who are like members of authority.
Thank you, Greta. And now we'll move on to Bruce and Brenna on this. Bruce, go ahead.
Thanks. So, I like sports. I play basketball and volleyball. I was actually a captain of the JV volleyball team this year before I got pulled up to varsity due to my epic skills. I do drama, as Greta knows as well. I was in the musical last year. I was in the show. I was in the play this year, and then the musical theater showcase earlier. I think either this month or last month, sometime when it happened. Oh yeah, I like politics and public speaking, so I am a member of the debate team. Me and my debate partner Navade reached the state tournaments 2 years in a row now for VCFL. I do Model UN. I was a crisis staffer at Gizman this year. Unfortunately, it was canceled last year, but that could have been even more experience to gain as a freshman. I'm a member of German National Honor Society, and German Club, of course, that's fun. And also, if you're in German, vote for me for German National Honor Society president. That election's coming up as well. Yes, I guess Brenna is next.
Okay, so I do basketball as well as year-round running, so track and cross country for our school. If you know Coach Holdren, he doesn't really give you much time to volunteer anywhere else, but I am in the National Art Honor Society, and I think you can make a really big impact through your art that you make. And then a big place that I volunteer for is the food bank, and I've also reached out and gotten a lot of my friends to join in on that, where we help give food to families in a judgment-free way.
So much, Brenna. And we've really heard about how you guys are so involved in our communities, and that's really great. But a major concern is, are you too overcommitted? How will you combat these really busy schedules and work with your really busy schedules in classes to make sure you still have time to lead our class? Ethan, go ahead.
Yeah, this is definitely a lesson quarantine taught me about not being overcommitted. I ran into a period of this year where I definitely was doing too many activities, and so I took the time to parse it down. And I have a priority list, and simply this would be at the top of it. It would be this, maybe 2 other clubs in a sport, but in Project Engage RVA. But that's manageable, and I would very intentionally next year. I know Greta and I have actually talked about this just on personal calls, that we do intend to parse it down so that we can focus better on everything we're doing, including this.
Bruce, do you want to talk about that a bit?
Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with busyness and with having too many activities. And there was like a point last year when I was like at school from like 8 in the morning to like 10 at night. But I mean, that might be an exaggeration, but, and then of course, outside extracurriculars as well as that. But, you know, for me, like I said, I like a huge variety of things, academic teams, debate, whatever, Gizman, theater. Theater and sports are 2 very hard ones to balance. And so one of the things I was already considering next year is having to sacrifice my involvement in some of those teams to support the other one, as well as this position. And yeah, but the other thing is just something about like me. I feel, you know, good and proud of what the job that I've done. And when I have done a lot of things. So like when I've like, you know, got up in the morning, had a schedule to go off of, you know, I can carry my skills as an organizer and an organizer of my personal, you know, well-being and of my activities And I think that that trait, I can carry that over into the presidency very well.
Jonathan, go ahead.
Hi, yes. Me and Ananya both do a numerous amount of clubs, but we believe that utilizing our in-school time next year will be of our utmost importance. Although many clubs do meet during lunch, many of these meetings do not last for more than 15, 20 minutes. And as we already have a very long lunch, me and Ananya think scheduling this with our fellow class officers to utilize our class time efficiently to both prepare and plan what we would like to do as class presidents is extremely important and will ensure that the workload is manageable next year.
Last question before closing statements. So this is going to be, we're going to first go to Jonathan and Anya. So what made you want to run for co-presidents this year?
So basically we wanted to run for co-presidents this year because we thought we could make a real difference to our class in not just representation, but also inclusivity and bringing us all together, since we know how, the previous years, we didn't have as much participation and we didn't win the competitions and stuff like that. And I know personally that was kind of disappointing, but we want to make sure that we can win and we can do these things and that everyone feels included. And that's what we want to do as class president.
No, yeah, at least for me, I saw our class, all the people in our class, and I saw a true potential that our class had. I think we have a really great group of people here. And I think with that, me and Ananya both saw that as class presidents, we could really make this next year the best year that it can possibly be, especially coming out of COVID.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. And it's about time to wrap up our debate, so we're going to take a couple closing statements. So we're going to start with Greta and Ethan. Tell us why the voters should vote for you tomorrow.
Greta and I are up here not trying to make huge promises because we know the limits of the position. We've run against them for 2 years running now. We know what can and cannot be accomplished, but through that, we know how to accomplish those things that can. Greta and I have had 2 years to fall in love and learn this position, and I think we've gotten good at it. Greta and I just love this school, and this is an opportunity for us not only to get the most out of it, but to give the most back to it that we can, and we want to do so. I truly believe that Greta and I will be your best candidate, and that we could make the next year even better for everyone involved.
Thank you, Ethan and Greta. And now the closing statements from Bruce and Brenna.
Awesome. So we've had a lot of great points here tonight, but if we're being honest, Brenna and that we have the skills to pay the bills. We're running on real plans here, not just a brag sheet. But if you want a brag sheet, our resume is here. We fundraising, and a very important thing talked about tonight. Our LLS campaign over the last year was, I think, should speak for itself. Our methods. Our club involvement as well, our ability to work as a team, our communication skills, and our social media use thus far, and what we have yet to prove. I think that we're the clear choice, and I will leave you with this. Vote for me, and I will make all of your wildest dreams come true.
And additionally, in freshman year, I also did a lot of the organizing for our I don't remember what it's called, the school competition and the pep rally where we did a banner and all of our performances and stuff. And I was able to organize quite a bit, even without a position of authority. So I think it'd be really cool to have the opportunity to do so.
Vote for Brenna and Bruce. Let's go.
And Anya, your closing statements.
Yeah, at this point, you guys have definitely heard all of the compelling arguments put forth by the rest of our candidates, but we would really like to reaffirm why you should vote for us tomorrow.
Although we may not have the presidential experience that Greta and Ethan have, Jonathan and I have a myriad of experience from other opportunities. And as a person of color, I feel like I can be an advocating voice for the underrepresented as your president.
Having been treasurer this year and Ananya being a SCA representative this year, Ananya and I definitely have the skills necessary to lead our class. Maggie Walker has an extremely enriching environment with a variety of clubs, and through these clubs, Ananya and I were able to reduce stigma as part of the Period Club and raise funds for those in poverty, and we are sure to carry these values forward as presidents. We also approach this job with very specific ideas, goals, and ways to achieve them. As your class presidents, Ananya and I can guarantee a successful junior year.
Well, thank you guys so much. And thank you to you all for participating in the debate. First of all, happy birthday to Brenna. Big happy birthday to you. Second of all, it was super informative, and I'm sure all of our viewers will be informed and ready to vote for the right people tomorrow. And to our viewers out there, don't forget to vote tomorrow, June 7th. And this concludes our debate for 2023 co-presidents. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks so much.